What's up, everybody? Welcome to Waypoint's Media Club, your one-stop shop for discussions on all things movies, TV shows, video games, and hopefully never a book, but I think Leerin might change that. But I will hold it off as long as I can. Join with me today is the other half of the Orphan Gamers, Leerin Jass.
Hi.
And you know him as Jim Tasty on Twitch. It's Brett Jamerson.
Hey, everybody.
Alrighty, so I don't think any of us were on last week's episode. I think that one was just a two-person panel. It was the first media club I've ever missed. I had a wedding last week. Just quick thoughts on episode 4, guys.
Ooh. What happened? I had some family stuff happen last week, so I don't remember. That's the one where they
finally met the timekeepers.
Oh, them getting their head chopped off was like, yeah. I was into it. Like, I liked it.
I was really distracted by the one that looked like the Lorax.
Oh my god, I know.
I was like, that. I don't like the mustache, guys. You could have changed it up.
I thought, and because we still didn't get answers to some of the questions that kind of popped up after episode 4, it's still like, you know, I'm still kind of lingering on those. But I loved the moment between Mobius and Loki in episode 4 when Mobius was like, "You can change, you can, you know, do good." I was like, oh man, like that definitely made me teary-eyed. And then I until the mid-credit scene, I was stunned that I thought they killed off Mobius and our Loki. Initially, obviously that didn't happen. They showed it in the end credits, but that was like 15 minutes or whatever. You were like, dang, like, wow.
There was something about the way that Mobius died that I was like, he's not fully dead. And then when they did it to Loki, I was like, okay, so pruning is not what we think it is.
So, okay. Now that Brett said that, I remember this episode. I was deeply hurt when I thought Mobius was dead, because I love Mobius. And then they killed our Loki, and I went, oh, so Loki is coming back to the MCU, just not Tom Hiddleston.
Mm-hmm.
They have been pretending this entire time that the second season is going to be Tom Hiddleston, and it's not. It's going to be this chick. And then the mid-credit scene happened, and I was like, oh, never mind.
Someone also, I remember in the Reddit comments reading that people were like, all right, so finally we got the point in Loki's own show where we think he died and he came back to life. And someone went, I guess the next step is that he steals the Tesseract, because those are the only two things he ever does. Yeah. In that order. But I generally liked episode 4. I liked the way it ended of like, oh fuck, like it's bigger than this. The timekeepers are fake. They're androids, whatever. And I liked seeing that B-15 was finally like on their side, and like I'm ready for her.
Oh, thank God, because she was fucking annoying in the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, but
she was a fucking annoying.
Now we are here.
She was a try-hard.
We are in episode 5. We pick up right where we left off. Sylvie thinks Loki is dead, and she is going to interrogate Renslayer. Thoughts on that part?
Okay, so I am hardcore in the camp that Renslayer, that obviously we know Kang is coming, but I think by the end of this series we are going to have, if not our first interaction, a first glimpse of Kang. And I can go into why in a second.
No,
however,
that's the thing is like I don't want to go for another Mephisto thing where I'm like, they're showing Kang. But it's like, what else is going to be bigger than the Timekeepers at this point?
Okay, so let me give my logic on this. I said it at Investors Day. I don't know to anyone I'm sitting with right now, but I said it to someone. That it was weird to me that they played their hand with Kang. Because at the time, I was thinking he was only going to be, like, we were going to first see him in Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania. And I was like, this is such a weird hand to play to reveal that. Just like at Investors Day. Like, that's such a weird choice. And now we know he's coming, so I feel like we're going to get peeks of him and then really see him, like, open up in Ant-Man and Wasp.
I mean, I just can't think of anyone else who would have created the TVA, but go ahead, sorry.
But the other thing is, Renslayer in the comics, like, he falls in love with her and is like, you're going to be my bride, and I'm gonna kill your whole family. And then she ends up falling in love with him.
Stockholm Syndrome.
And yeah. It's wild. It's like if in Star Wars, after blowing up Alderaan, Darth Vader forced Leia to marry him and she fell in love. Like, truly.
Ignoring the father-daughter aspect.
Ignoring that, yeah. Ignoring the father-daughter aspect. But, yeah, it's... So I think that Renslayer knows all of it and that she's just a dirty, dirty liar and, like, can suck a dick. Like, sorry.
No, it's fine.
The
beginning part where they were like, oh, maybe now the beginning part where they were like, she's not necessarily on your side, but you guys can help each other out right now. Mm-hmm. And then to just reverse that less than 10 minutes later was annoying to me. But what's interesting is even when Renslayer was alone, she still asked for Miss Minutes to go and find the files on the beginning of time. So she's not lying when she says that she doesn't know what's above the timekeepers.
I think she is. I think she's.
But then why ask for those files?
Because I think she's looking for something else.
That's also true. But she definitely does not know everything that is going on.
No. But Brett can go.
Yeah, because I was conflicted about that too in that beginning part of the episode where she was kind of working with Sylvie and then she obviously didn't, and she, after that, Sylvie self-pruned herself, she was asking for like certain files. I would argue that she doesn't know because the way that she asked in that private moment did not seem to hint that she knew what was going on. I think whoever's in charge of the TVA or whoever created it is Kang and or a Loki variant. I think those are the two. Now I don't know if we'll see a Loki variant. If it's not a Loki variant, like, and it's Kang, I don't think we're gonna get a big reveal of Kang in this show, or at least this season. Mm-hmm. Just because the other two shows that we've gotten so far haven't like done that reveal, right? Like obviously Jordan brought up Mephisto, like everyone's like Mephisto, and then that didn't happen. Same thing with Falcon Winter Soldier with the power broker. It turned out to just be Sharon the whole time. So I don't think the show is going to go beyond its bounds here and bring in a major character unless they like, kind of like what you said, Liren, like they'll say Kang's name. We got a couple Kang references in this episode. So I don't think they're going to like full on show Kang. Like
I may have said it in a podcast, but I think I just said it to Jordan that if we see Kang, I think it's going to be like, I never remember which movie it is, but where the end credit scene is Thanos going, fine, I'll do it myself. And it's the first time we see that.
No, but you're mixing up mixing up two scenes. When we just see his side profile and he's smirking, that's the end of Avengers 1. And he doesn't, I don't know what he says. He says some generic stuff. Fine, I'll do it myself. He's putting his hand in the Infinity Gauntlet.
Either way, I think it's going to be something like that, where it is setting, this is Kang. Kang is coming. He's behind this in a way, but we're not there yet.
But then how do we end the series? If so, the way the episode ended today, they went through Alioth, I think is how you say it, Alioth, yeah. Who is an actual thing in the comics that I noticed today, but did not get to read enough about him. And I guess they're going to this city. Who are they going to run into if Kang is just going to be like a little hint, a little sprinkle at the end?
Do you know how many little bitches Kang has? And like how many times did we think in the universe?
But like that would be like name recognizable.
There are a fair amount, but also think about like in Avengers, the people in universe think Loki was the bad guy until Tony at the end is like, I don't know if that's true. In Ultron, they think Ultron is just like the bad guy. And like there's so many things that Thanos was really behind, but in universe they didn't know that yet.
Yeah.
And Alioth is from the Terminix Objective, which I've only read the first few issues of, but that is a whole story about Ramona Renslayer and Kang. It's the only reason I know about Ramona's backstory.
Wonderful.
It's a weird comic.
We also did see that, speaking of, like I mentioned before, B-15 is now on Loki and Sylvie's side. He's now being held prisoner in a really weird way, where they implied with C-20 that they just killed her off. But now B-15 is just being held there, and like it sounds like Renslayer's trying to use her for something.
I think C-15...
B-15.
B-15, sorry. the one that's dead, C20.
C20's dead.
C20. There was a whole thing there because there was no bringing her back from, none of this is real. You were all variants. We've been lying to you, and you gave away where the timekeepers are. Like, there's no bringing her back into the fold of the TVA.
True.
There's a way, if Renslayer finds Sylvie, that she can play, if she wins, she can play it to be like, Sylvie tricked you. Like, how could you turn your back on the TVA? Like, you were tricked.
Yeah.
Where, like, the 20 was too far gone.
Yeah. And that was really, I mean, everything we just discussed so far is the only thing we really got inside the TVA today, because most of this episode was spent inside the end of time in this war-torn New York.
The void.
Which is being consumed by the void. And
it is the void. It's being consumed by Alioth.
Yeah, fair enough. And then we get to know all the Loki variants we met at the end of the episode last week. We have classic Loki, who is the old man played by Richard Grant.
Mm-hmm.
We have boastful Loki, who for some reason dresses as if he is Thor. We have Kid Loki, and we have Ala Loki, or Lokigator. I don't know what we're using for him.
On the internet, I saw Crocky, which I enjoyed.
Crocky.
Croki.
Wow. But they confirmed that he's
that.
I'm usually not the one to like.
He is an alligator.
We have confirmed it's an alligator.
But Crocky is very funny.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it as a name.
Someone else also, and I like how Loki, when he mentions, he goes, "There's an alligator," which at this point I don't even think is weird. And
I'm willing to accept.
And then they go, no, but he's also a Loki. He goes, okay, now it's weird.
Yeah. I just love him being like, I'm willing to accept this.
That there's an alligator.
This has nothing to do with anything except I was annoyed by it. Could none of you pick him up? Like, when they're leaving, because we think they're leaving Loki completely because they've taken him where he needs to go. They're like, okay, we're going to go, and turn around and just let this tiny, short-legged alligator, like, one of you can pick him up and just, like, so he's not trailing behind you. Because if a lion starts chasing you, the alligator's going to die first. Like, he can't run. Just pick up the I was really upset by this.
And we know he doesn't mind being picked up because we saw him in Kid Loki's hands.
Yeah, and Kid Loki carried it back to the shelter. Like, just carry the fucking alligator. Find a baby Bjorn. Like, look at everything around you. You can find
I like to imagine that he
something for this alligator.
It's like he doesn't like being picked up unless he approves of it.
Yeah, because it did kind of hint at him having like autonomy with like.
Oh no! I mean, the other Lokis have learned to understand his language.
Yeah,
they can speak to him.
He had a little pool.
I know.
I loved this alligator. I'm afraid of them when they're big, but when they're like only like the little ones that are only like 2 feet big, I'm like, you're fucking adorable.
I think my favorite part with the alligator was when he just fucking bit off President Loki's hand, and the scream that came out of President Loki.
Oh my god! I didn't know he cut it. He got his hand. I thought it was just that like kind of like just like latching on aspect of like biting, and then his hand was like freaking cut off, dude.
And
like,
then it went crunch, and he had no hand.
Yeah.
This just is like a background Easter egg thing. The fact that they made the Thanos copter canon.
Yeah.
I just want to chat to whoever went, you know what we should make canon?
The Thanos copter. And like in the most literal of ways, where like it didn't even translate. They're like, no, it's Thanos at one point had a helicopter with his name written on it.
With his name written on it, he flew it to New York, and fucking Deadpool ripped it out of the sky. Like, this is now canon.
Well, or I guess wouldn't the assumption be that the Thanos copters caused a Nexus event, so they sent it to the Void?
Maybe.
I guess it's also like
there was
it's
also
just so weird to me.
Did you guys see who else was in the
copter.
Void when they were going underground? They passed
Frog Thor.
Yeah,
in a
Frog
jar.
Thor was in a jar, and I just feel like that would have been a really good friend for the alligator.
Also, Jordan called me the other day and said that he looked up to see if the alligator was the Loki variant from that universe, and then found out that it's not, that in that universe, in the comics, Loki's just a person.
Loki's still just
and
Loki.
I went, oh, I don't know what that is. That's not true. I totally know why that is. Loki is the reason he's a frog.
Oh.
Loki turned him into a frog. And I was like, just...
Sorry.
Oh. Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna grab my drink while he's not here. Hang on. I'm so pumped for Black Widow tomorrow.
Me too, yeah.
Just like, I'm so excited.
Yeah, seeing, like, because people in the UK and stuff have seen it today. And so, like, yeah, seeing...
Sorry. We can edit that out, whoever's editing that. Sorry.
And, like, I just love Florence Pugh and David Harbour and Rachel Weisz. Like, I want it. Sorry.
That's okay. But yeah, so I mean, the Thor variant, or the Loki variants are all very interesting because Kid Loki, who they've kind of accepted as their leader, killed Thor.
That was like...
And then boastful Loki seems to lie about everything, claiming that he killed Thor and then got all the Infinity Stones.
It's that he killed Captain America and Iron Man?
Yeah, sorry. He killed the Avengers and got all the Infinity Stones, and they were like, that's bullshit. So we don't actually know why he's there.
But I would argue, kind of like, you know, just in general, when people lie, there's always a truth to the lie, like a lot, like lying. So maybe he acquired like one or two or whatever, and killed somebody.
Normally, I'd be like, yeah, I'm on board with that he's but they've kind of just heavily implied that he's a pathological liar.
Yeah, and we'll talk about how he got caught like a chump.
But classic Loki broke my heart.
Yeah, because Lee Aaron and I were talking about that.
Because, I mean, some point out that, like, current Loki, Tom Hiddleston, with the features that he has, is about 1,500 years old. So how long was that Loki just in isolation on this planet to the point that he now physically looks like an old man?
Oh, see, I didn't even go there.
Oh.
I didn't think about that part.
Yeah, because he basically went through everything, but just didn't die in Infinity War.
Yeah, I was just very sad at the end. Like, I'm a sucker for grizzled old men, like, who've given up, giving it their all one last time and dying and being, just anyone being okay with watching their death coming for them and being okay with it ruins me in movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
like, it just destroys my heart. And
he showed how powerful a Loki can be with their sorcery when they practice their magic, and just him ripping Asgard out and like just forming it, and then like Asgard being mixed in with like this war-torn New York, like, looked so good.
Yeah, Lee Aaron and I were talking about that before we started recording, of how like they just nailed everything about all the different Lokis, especially classic Loki, who was more illusion based with his powers than comparing to like the MCU Loki that we've come to know over the last 10 years. And yeah, for me personally, I said this to Aaron as well, like my first introduction to like the Avengers to Marvel was like the original comic, so I have like super fond memories of the like original Loki from my childhood. And so seeing Richard E. Grant do his thing as classic Loki was just amazing. And even at the end, like, we saw his doom coming to him, and like he's stressing his powers, and you can see like his eyes tearing up a little bit because he knows like he's making a difference one last time. It was powerful.
Go ahead.
I don't know if this was on purpose, but so Richard E. Grant is a phenomenal actor and has done a lot of Shakespeare. And the original Thor movie was directed by somebody who's known for Shakespeare. Like, that's Kenneth Branagh's thing. Mm-hmm. And the line, classic Loki's line about being God of the outcast, is it's from a 2019 Loki original title comic, and it's a very Shakespearean line about like being put in a box and like that his stories always end with his spectacular escape. And then having classic Loki and Kid Loki literally exit stage right the way they do in Shakespeare before like these big final moments. You'll have like the people who don't need to be there for this scene basically will leave stage right. It was set up like they treated it like kind of felt like we were going back to that like Thor 1 vibe for a second, and I was into it because I love Thor 1.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. Also, did we see the Living Tribunal head? Because that fucked me up.
Wait, where?
I think we did.
So on the ground in the void, there's this huge severed head that's the Living Tribunal.
Interesting. I heard that some people spotted a yellow jacket helmet.
I didn't see that one.
I think that's the same thing. I think people might think it's either a yellow jacket head or the Living Tribunal.
Let me see.
Maybe I got confused. Also why I think that we're getting Kang at some point in this. I forgot this part. You cannot tell me that building at the end doesn't look like fucking Castle Limbo.
It does.
Oh.
Like, it looks like Castle Limbo. And some people were trying to say that it's fucking Dr. Doom's home, which has a stupid name that Doomstand, something like that. But it looks like Castle Limbo.
Okay, so it looks like both appeared. Both the Yellow Jacket helmet and the Living Tribunal statue head appeared.
Mm.
Alright.
So interesting. There are a lot of Easter eggs in this episode, which they can excuse by just being like, yep, these things were going to be Nexus events, and so they threw them away. Oh, yeah, no. The Yellow Jacket helmet's just exactly what it is, basically, from Ant-Man 1. So what the fuck did Darren Cross do?
What didn't Darren Cross do?
Well,
grow hair.
In Ant-Man 1, he didn't die, technically, right? He just got sucked into the quantum realm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, who knows?
I mean, and there is the whole thing about there's the whole thing about does the TVA exist within the quantum realm? Because we know that the quantum realm can be used for time travel, a la Avengers Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that whole thing. But I mean, like, so one, how long do you guys think the last episode's going to be next week?
52 minutes.
There's only 6 episodes, aren't there?
Yeah, there's only one episode left. Today was the
I was literally about to launch into a whole thing about how I don't fucking know what they're about to do for the next 3 episodes.
Well, remember, there's a season 2 of Loki confirmed.
Yep, there is, and my brain keeps going, no, there's not a season 2, there's 8 episodes, and that's not true. And you guys have corrected me every week on this, and every week I still go, 8 episodes.
So that's what I was saying, is that's why I can't see King the Conqueror just being like a little teaser.
I'm a fucking moron!
This all has to be wrapped up next week.
Oh, I still think it can be wrapped up next week.
Oh, I'm not saying
because Kang doesn't have to be defeated.
Yeah.
That is also true.
And he won't be, because he's going to be an Ant-Man. Again, I just think we're going to see him.
Yeah, it depends. When is Ant-Man 3 coming out? Is that 2022?
It's next year.
So we got to imagine Loki season 2, if it's Hiddleston again, if it's Sophia DiMartino, or both, like that isn't going to be. That's probably going to come out at the same time at the earliest, or season 2 of Loki's.
Do you guys think Hiddleston sticks around, or do you think they use this as a way to maybe not kill off that Loki, but kind of end his story?
Wait, Brett, were you done with your sentence?
Oh, my bad.
I don't even. I can't remember.
He was in the middle of a sentence.
He paused for.
No.
He took a breath. All right, Barrett. Damn.
That's a good question, because, to my knowledge, he's cool with playing Loki, right? It's not like he's looking to get out.
Yeah.
But it's that thing of he's been Loki for 10 years. I don't know if Yeah, because that is a good question of like at the end of this season or season 2, whatever. Like are we gonna get, you know? I think Sophia DiMartino is here to stay. I don't think they brought her in to kill her off or sideline her. So I
Mhm.
think she's here to stay. But yeah, the question is what happens to Hiddleston's version of Loki? If it's gonna is like that version gonna pop up in movies again? Is it just gonna be Loki season 2 and then maybe, other shows? Like we don't know.
Also, Jordan and I are incredibly wrong. Quantum Mania doesn't come out until February 2023.
Oh,
Okay, so they could do a
So-
season 2 of Loki before. They could do season 2. Yeah.
so then that also begs the question: is why did they announce the actor who's playing Kang that early?
That's what
Because
didn't give us a
I thought we were only a year away. No.
No!
Yeah.
that's what Leigh Aaron said.
This is my point.
That they played their hand so early for Kang specifically, so there has to be a reason why they did that.
Yeah. And, like, it's not like Jonathan... Like, I don't think Jonathan Majors was as famous as, like, he would be considered now, because now he's been in Lovecraft County. But before that, it was just, like, the last black man in San Francisco, which is great, but, like, not super well-known.
He's not a household name.
No, and now he's Atticus in Lovecraft County, so he's gotten a lot bigger, but, like... Lovecraft County was still airing when they announced this. Like, it wasn't what it is now yet. Like, I truly think we're just going to see, like, a quick shot of Jonathan Majors and, like, you know.
Yeah.
I think Renslayer's going to die.
Do you guys think we have one more big twist? Or do you just think it kind of all gets wrapped up?
No, I think there's a second season. And that they'll wrap up most things, but I don't think...
But
I think we're going to see Mobius take over the TVA, and then we're going to see Kang. Something's going to happen to one of the Lokis, or we're just going to continue with 2.
But, so, just a couple of questions to your, like, prediction. What makes you think that, what reason does the TVA have to still exist if it's all fake?
I don't think it's going to exist in...
the same way.
The way it exists now, I think it's going to be like more of an ally, because I have a feeling that the TVA and Mobius and their technology is going to become really fucking important during Multiverse. Because I think all of this, Loki, even though Loki doesn't feel like it, I think we know Loki is just as connected to Doctor Strange as everything else we've been getting.
Yeah.
So, like...
And Nexus events will still happen.
Yeah, and Doctor Strange is in 2022, and Nexus is getting thrown around so much that I don't think... And Owen Wilson is just such a big actor to only get for one season.
Mm-hmm.
That I feel like we're not going to see him a lot, but I feel like there's a plan for Mobius.
But do you guys necessarily think that the second season still has to be about the TVA rather than just being about Loki? So, like, they could end all this and the second season be something very different.
I don't know. I don't see. What?
I'm just joking. It's fine.
I don't see the TVA collapsing in the next episode. I think it's gonna stick around for season 2. And that's why the whole thing of who is behind it will get name dropped or something like that in next episode. And kind of like what Leigh Aaron said, like maybe it could get taken over by Mobius or someone who has like a good intention for it and use those tools to like do something positive as opposed to what's been going on now.
See, I don't see Renslayer dying. I see like...
Oh, neither do I. But she doesn't have to die for this either.
Yeah, but didn't you just say you think she dies?
I think she will, because I think it can set up how Kang, like, is a psycho.
Hold on.
But I don't think...
My internet dipped for a second and I lost you. So Kang is a what?
Kang is a fucking psycho, and I think betraying Renslayer, if she is the Renslayer I'm thinking, would be like a cool way to be like, oh, this person's just as fucking crazy as Thanos. He might not be 20 fucking feet high, but he's insane. But she doesn't have to die. She can also run off with Kang at the end of this.
But that's the other thing. That's what I was going to say, is that if they introduce him, even like a little end credit scene, Renslayer, she doesn't know all the secrets about the TVA, but I feel like her allegiance is still with it. So I feel like she wants to find out who started it to like be like, I'm still with you. I want to do this.
Exactly.
And that'd be a great way to get her and Kang together. I
think that I just don't want to see it.
We don't have to see it. We just have to know it's happening.
It's weird. I don't think that there is a single Marvel big bad who has a love interest or like somebody that they're like in love with, or there's an implied relationship that I'm not like, ew. Like they could do better than you based on looks alone. Like there is a reason that Lady Death did not want to have sex with Thanos.
I mean,
and it's that chin.
Well, yeah, no, that was like a whole thing in the comics, that the reason that, I'm not doing this to sympathize with Thanos, but one of the reasons that he's so fucked up is because he was like an outcast, because he is a genetic, not mutation, but he does not look like a normal Titan, and so...
He's an ugly fuck. It's okay. He's also a genocidal piece of shit, so I don't feel bad calling him ugly.
Yeah.
He's also not real.
That's true. I mean, like, as much as I love this episode, like, I personally, I'm like, I don't have 100 questions. I'm just like, other than how the fuck are they getting, like, I'm excited to see how it ends. Like, I don't have, at this point, even theories.
I still think that this is the best Disney Plus show.
Yeah, it's been consistent so far.
Yeah.
And I feel like the next episode could make or break it.
I would argue the beginning of WandaVision was so strong. I would argue that I would still say that Loki has been better just overall, but yeah, that beginning part of WandaVision was powerful.
WandaVision is so hard for me to personally like judge and put in, just because I could just about how well crafted it was is what gets me, rather than even the show, which is still a fantastic show, but I can't even separate the actual writing and the events of the show from just how well crafted it was.
I love them both. I just think Loki is a little bit better.
Like people do with their children.
Yes.
I love you both, just one of you disappoints me a little bit.
So which kid is Falcon Winter Soldier then?
Okay, here's the thing though, is Falcon and Winter Soldier actually made me give a fuck about Bucky. Which is a feat I did not think was possible.
Yeah. It was the kid you adopted that taught you how to love.
Truly, the child I adopted. I had to adopt both of them because I already loved Sam Wilson. I had to adopt both of them. And I learned to love Bucky.
You know, I was supposed to teach him, but what really happened, he taught me.
You get him away from Steve, and I'm like, oh, there's nothing about you that I shouldn't like. I should like you I just don't like what you are to Steve.
We've also reached the point in the episode where we are now comparing these shows to living children. So, I mean, do you guys have any final thoughts? I feel like we've hit the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the finale. I think next week we'll get a 2 kind of front episode where we'll have Loki and Sylvie figure out what's going on in this like castle or mansion or whatever, and then we'll also get Mobius B-15 kind of inciting a civil war within the TVA. And I don't think we'll see it resolved in the next episode. It'll be the start of that civil war, of that collapse.
I want to see the little weird guy from the first 2 episodes just fucking destroy somebody. Like, I want there to be an uprising at the TVA and this motherfucker to just, like...
The guy with the Infinity Stones in his drawer?
Release the rage that is pent up inside.
I want them to frame it as, like, just a retail worker who finally gets to just do every... Yeah.
I want it so bad. And, like, I want to watch Mobius and fucking Loki and Sylvie destroy. Sylvie was phenomenal. I mean, she's phenomenal in every episode, but, like, I love her. And I love Mobius hugging Loki and doing so. He knows that Sylvie knows he's saying that he's like she's his favorite. But he also knows that Loki's going to assume he's talking to him.
Yeah.
And that's like some fucked up mind game that I'm obsessed with.
I want to see him ride off on a jet ski.
I want him to have nothing but happiness. I want him and Loki to date. I saw that on Twitter, and now I'm fully behind that. I want an Owen Wilson, Tom Hiddleston relationship in the MCU so badly.
I'm not against it, but Mobius's character, because like he's from a real time and was picked off as a variant, he just seems like just your plain white like suburban dad. And
he needs Loki to mix it up to make his life exciting.
That's true.
Loki's the chaos, Mobius is the straight laced. Like, you need that balance.
I either want them to stay like best friends and become like Sam and Bucky, like BFFs, or date.
That's
I'm okay with either.
Or they blur the line between the two, you know?
No, I like resolution.
Oh, one thing
I like to have other people guessing.
Wow, George is like, Brett doesn't get to talk today.
No, it's okay.
No, it's because he's wearing a John Walker shirt.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Oh yeah, baby.
Crouch down, buddy.
Like Josh. Down here.
I like before the show even aired, and I don't know like what y'all's history with Owen Wilson and his movies are, but like he's been in like those like same kind of comedy movies for like 20 years. So seeing him in all the trailers and previews, it's like, okay, like what are we gonna get with him from this show? But I was really blown away with Mobius so far in this show and this episode specifically, and last episode like we talked earlier. So like, yeah, I just love like how unexpected that was for me, because I'm thinking like Wedding Crashers or something dumb like that. So it's just a huge like blessing. Like, you didn't expect it. At least I didn't.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought Owen Wilson was a bad actor before this show.
That's what I'm saying.
Literally, I was like, Owen Wilson's shitty, and then I saw the trailer and I was like, this seems different, and now I feel like I owe him an apology.
See, the thing I've heard is that like he's legitimately talented, but for some reason has, after Wedding Crashers, just kept getting typecast as like this comedic actor, like opposite Vince Vaughn. And
he's Lightning McQueen, is he not?
Yeah, but that's a voice acting thing, which I'm not gonna say is not real acting, but I think that it is very different. It is hard to compare.
Yeah.
He was in Marley and Me too, and I feel like that's a little bit of an emotional toll.
Oh, well, I watched that on a plane. That was a bad choice.
My family's not even dog people, and I feel like we watched that 100 times growing up. I don't know why.
Because it's a family-friendly movie until the dog dies.
Yeah.
But I mean, Old Yeller's considered a family-friendly movie, and the dog in that gets shot. At least Marley's euthanized.
Yeah, Marley made the idea is like, oh, you see it grow up.
Yeah, but you see Old Yeller grow up. The difference is Old Yeller gets shot behind the barn.
He's rabid. Too. That's
they don't need to show it. Is all and I'm saying like technology makes things less graphic.
Anyway, yeah. All right.
I'm just saying they made me sad for different reasons.
All right. Well, we'll review dog movies between What If and Loki. But until next time, guys, we will see you next week for the final episode of Loki. We've lost our damn minds today. Everyone's socials will be in the description down below. Goodbye.